All right, we'll call the meeting to order. Meeting has been noticed to Evans Print and Media Group, WCOW Radio, Magnum Radio, La Crosse Tribune, Sparta City Hall, and Sparta Free Library. Mr. Russ, are there any changes to the agenda?
Yes, I'd like to recommend moving item 4H, grants and donations, to right after public input, please.
All right. Let's see here. Thank you. With that change, I would request a motion to adopt the agenda.
So moved.
A motion from Mr. Wells. Do I have a second? Second from Mr. McKenna. All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. All right. Agenda is adopted. If everybody could please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And Mr. Russ, if you could please state the SASD mission statement.
Yes, to educate all students academically, emotionally, and socially to inspire curiosity and resilience.
Thank you for that. Do we have any public input tonight?
We do not have any public input tonight.
All right. With that then, item 4H, grants and recommendations. Mr. Russ.
Yes, I'd like to bring up Mr. Ford, Mr. Bacorny, and Mr. Shaw.
Good evening. I'm not going to take too much time here, but I want to introduce Darren Picorni and Steve Schaff and thank them for working together on behalf of all of our students at SHS. So Mr. Schaff is excited about a new piece of equipment, and Mr. Picorni is helping us make that happen.
Button going. Okay. Hopefully you guys can see the slide on your screen, so I'm not going to read to you. I tried to make it straightforward. That's the program that it will be used in, and students. We have 12 students. That's maxed out the program this year, so I'm really excited about that. So it's on our advanced machining and CNC program. And Darren and I have known each other a long time, so even outside of business and education. So I really work hard to try to have that coalition. I think that's one of our missions in education, connect with kids with community, and we need to do the same in education as educators. So next slide, please. So you can click it. Rather than me talk about it, I just have a couple of quick videos. This is an example of what we're doing with the coordinate measuring machine. We have a desktop model, and this is a Zeiss machine that they use in industry, much like they use at Train. So if you just start the video. We're just going to show part of it. I think you'll get the idea of what we can do. So you can see the extensive geometry that these machines can actually data point and measure. So you can do tolerance, control, measurement, and inspection. We have a measurement inspection class we will use this form. You can stop it. You can see the probe basically is just touching off all these different data points, and it's measuring. And you can see what the next one will do. Go to the next slide, please. So this is just a slide that demonstrates what we have. Obviously, we can't afford a $250,000, don't need it, but that's to show the connection. This is the microscribe system that Train Technologies and we are investing in. We're basically sharing the cost, the district and Train. So it's a handheld unit, and you can see in the upper left, and the software also comes with it, and the students will plot those points. Please click the video, just a click, and you can see much better than I can describe what it does. The student takes, it's kind of a controlled arm. They're plotting the points. You can't see it very well, but the lower left of that screen, we can do two things. We can measure with it, inspect. We can actually reproduce that component with the CAD software. So rather than have to draw it from scratch, we can plot these points. And with the Rhino and the MobiGauge software, our goal is to have students reproduce parts and then machine them. Does that make point? You see the stylus that he's basically plotting the points in the entry. They use it in archaeology, they use it in a lot of different sciences too. So down the road, maybe it's a good way to collaborate. That's enough, Sam. Stop. So next slide. That's the system we basically will use. And this is the overview of the investment. And you're intelligent people, you can see, so Darren said, we'll pay for half of it. That's the total overall. And you see there's no recurring fees or licensure. We'll put it on 3 of the 4 machines we have in the machine shop, as far as the software and the computer side. So in the IT department did check it out, and that's been approved too. So I don't know if that makes, I don't want to talk too much. I probably ran over time. Sorry, Mr. Russ. And I wanted Mr. Picorni to say a few words too. But.
Okay, just quickly, we're very excited to have this opportunity to develop the young minds, and this is a product that we use, currently at our shop. And again, the more we get students involved at a younger age about the opportunities in manufacturing, it's not just on the shop floor. There's IT and HR and engineering, and there's all different aspects. So anytime we can get the students in our shop or in the office to show them, it's a great opportunity for us to showcase what we have. I know we had a busload here earlier this year, and we're hoping that each fall, each spring, we can get students in to see what we do there at Train Company.
So we have fresh Matt Richards, came from our program. He works at Train. He's interning there. So you can see the quick results. It's just a wonderful relationship. Any questions from the board on that? I don't know if you can hear me without the mic. Sorry.
That's perfect. Questions or comments from board members? Yeah, Mr. Burns-Gilbert, go ahead.
I was just going to ask about warranty coverage. If is that going to be handled through Train or through us if something happens and it needs some repairs?
No, that you'd be the rep that have Representative Alex Motley. He's actually a technician. He says he's replacing serving as a salesperson now, even though he's a technician. So they will support it. You get 4 hours of free training. Basically, he's a phone call away. So, yeah, to be honest, I don't know what the warranty is. I'm sure it's 1, 2, 3 years, but that's a good question. There is a warranty on it. But if they update the software, that's free too. It installs, I call it old school. It's not on the web. It's physically on the machines. So as they get updates like that.
Perfect. Other questions or comments from board members? Mrs. Lopez, go ahead.
Thank you so much for this. Truly, I know personally how valuable this type of education is for our students today. So I'm really, really grateful for this. Mr. Schaaf, did you and Mr. Picorni just collaborate to be able to make this happen, or was there grant funding, or not grant funding, grant writing with Train that occurred, or?
Oh, go ahead, Darren.
How did that happen?
We look for opportunities where we can help the community. So it's not just Sparta. We've done it with Holman and La Crescent and other schools. So anytime we can get in and help the youth and direct them towards the manufacturing side, we're all for it. So just small talk with Steve. He's like, "What? Helping La Crescent and Holman, not us?" So I said, "Absolutely, we'll help you out." So
Thank you very much.
He does like to streamline. He goes, "Can we avoid all the red tape?" So that was on our plate, right? He says, "I just want to write a check."
And I understand that the Sparta Area School District investment comes from the high school budget. I see it up there.
That comes from my
also.
CNC budget that's annually there.
Okay, thank you.
So that leaves us plenty to operate for tooling and everything else too.
Other questions or comments from board members? Mr. Schaaf, Mr. Ford, thank you for that. Mr. Picorni, thank you for the opportunity to have this partnership and to continue to strengthen it. So we sure appreciate that. It's all right.
So with, to answer your
Thank
question.
you, so please.
Yeah, no. So with that, Mr. Burns-Gilbert, to answer your question, the district would be responsible for any upkeep, warranty, after the warranty and that sort of thing. So we would assume responsibility for that. So, and pending no more questions, Mr. Schulze, I'd recommend that the board consider the $6,904.12 donation from Train for the machine.
I would entertain that motion as presented by Mr. Russ.
So moved.
I have a motion from Mr. McKenna. Do I have a second?
Yeah, I'll second that.
Second from Mr. Wells. All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries 5-0. Thank you so much again. Really appreciate it. And you're more than welcome to stay for the whole meeting, but I think we moved you to the front for a reason, so yeah. Hey, no problem. Have a great day. Thank you. All right, moving right along, we're going to go to item 2, reports. There are no, there aren't any reports. Oh my goodness. All right. All right. Item 3, the consent agenda. If you could please go ahead and look that over. If you don't see anything that needs changes or anything, go ahead, Mr.
I'm
Russ.
sorry, one note too for the approval of the minutes. We did add, we usually were a month behind, but due to the DPI requirement for High Point, we did put the July board minutes on that as well, so we can submit those to the DPI.
Thank you for that. And with that, I'd entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda items as presented.
So move.
Motion from Mr. Burns Gilbert. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
A second from Mrs. Lopez. Any further discussion on the consent agenda? Hearing none, roll call.
Mr. Burns Gilbert,
Yes.
Mr. McKenna,
Yes.
Mr. Wells,
Yes.
Ms. Lopez,
Yes.
Mr. Schulze.
Yes. Motion carries 5-0, 2 absent with Mr. Hendricks and Ms. Behrens. All right, item 4A, discussion and possible action to select vendors and approved renovations to the Sparta High School auditorium. Mr. Russ and Ms. Hauser.
All right. Before we continue, I do want to let everybody know that we did receive proposals from 3 different companies, and they are all attached in the public view of board docs. The board did approve the funding for this project several months ago, and then that kicked in the RFP process for the request for proposals, and we're very pleased to bring you the proposals today and the administrative recommendations to move forward with the project. So to break it down, we asked for 4 areas: lighting, audio, video, and curtains. We did receive 2 lighting proposals. One from Lighthouse Productions for a total quote as indicated there. They had a base price of just over $200,000 with a option lighting console for about $12,000 for the total of about $214,000. Main Stage put in a proposal for $170,000. And before I continue, when we sent this out to the proposals for the RFP, the people who gave, or the vendors who responded, were required to match those specs. So we are truly comparing apples to apples with all of these proposals. So it's not, well, this has one, the specs are very specific. We hired Main Stage to do all the process, and we collaborated with them for their expertise. And they also had a lot of stakeholder input. Ms. Schneider and Mr. Erickson were vital in that input too. And we were still, I was still interrupting him during his practices this afternoon to confirm things. So thank you very much, and I apologize for that. So lighting, we had 2 quotes: Lighthouse and Main Stage. And Ms. Hauser, please, if you need to add anything, please do. Next is the audio. We did have 2 quotes for audio. Peak System Group Incorporated. The total base price was about $195,000. They did say an optional $3,500 approximately for additional wireless microphones, which could be more versatile for vocal jazz and individuals carrying them. And we will be recommending those moving forward. But and then Main Stage, $243,000 approximately. That is a big difference. You may be asking why the big difference. Main Stage would have outsourced this, so that is, the difference is pretty close to the markup. I'm not saying it's 1-to-1, but they did say they don't specialize in this. But if they were awarded that bid, they would have hired someone to do that. And then the curtains, we only had 1 curtain proposal, and that was from Main Stage. Looking at that and knowing that we're looking at a possible renovation to the auditorium as part of the facility study and master planning, they recommended the need of about $44,000 in those curtains, minus the I call it the main curtain, the big red one that goes across, and the valance on top. After speaking with the consultant and Mr. Erickson, he's like, nope, those are good to go. If we would expand the stage area and take down those brick pillars, I don't want to say they're brick walls, but those brick walls, side walls, then we would need an additional main curtain, and then we would we would be okay to do that. But right now, that is good to go. And then all the other curtains that are behind the scenes, those are the end of life and pretty beat up, and so we would recommend, or that's that quote for $43,000 approximately. Next is video. We did not get any video proposals. We did have 2 vendors that are in the walkthrough that are in the video production side, but they took a look at our equipment and said that's in the screen. They said that's pretty good equipment, but if you did knock down the south wall, you would need new equipment at that time. So they didn't want to even bid on it because they felt the equipment was adequate at the time, and then if we did do that renovation, then would be the time where we would have to do that. So we did not receive any proposals for that, and that was the rationale. Before I get, and then I'll just jump into, before I forget, Ms. Hauser, did anything else you want to add? Okay. So our recommendations going through this process, and if there is any motion moving forward, Fund 46 has to be mentioned in it, because the Fund 46 is only applicable per board motion with a first moved and a second as well. So it's our administrative recommendations for audio to go with the Peak Systems Group for the base price of about $196,000 and the additional option for additional wireless handheld microphones. Once again, there's 2 vendors there, but they're the same specs, and we're good to go. We're good to go regardless of renovation in the auditorium too. Lighting, we recommend going with main stage lighting for about $170,000. Same thing. Once again, renovations, it's good to go with that. Additional recommendations. Curtains, we recommend going with the curtains with main stage for about $44,000, but not the main or the valance curtains at this time. In addition, just more of an FYI and possible action for contingency funds and electrical. We're looking at approximately $5,000 in contingency funds, and the reason why we put that in there with the caveat that the prices in the RFP are good to go. Those are locked in. So if inflation would go up, those prices are locked in for 30 days, or down, or they're locked in for 30 days, just in case something happens or anything like that. They say, well, you could do this or something like that. We wanted to make sure that we did have notice some contingency funds. And one thing that's not included in any of the RFPs is electrical. All the vendors do not do any electrical work, and they rely on the local contractors to do all those things. When we asked about a ballpark of that's approximately $50,000. They said that it's probably on the conservative side, but that's kind of the ballpark figure there with that. And once we get the project going and dates and stuff, we would look for the electricians, so that would be on us as well. And we'll bring you that more information as we get there, depending on the scope of the project. So with that, I entertain any questions, and I guess it'd be my recommendation to take them one at a time to make the motions very clear, using Fund 46 if that's the way the board would like to do.
Thank you for that, Mr. Russ. Good back here. Okay. Any questions or comments from board members? Mr. McKenna, go ahead.
Before we put it all take it apart for individual recommendations, could we lump it together? How much is the total for the administrative recommendation, and how much do we have set aside in Fund 46?
If you want to add, I'll look up Fund 46.
Okay.
I also wanted to add the timing. When we talked to Main Stage this afternoon, we said if we get approval tonight, does that mean stuff gets ordered tomorrow? And they basically said after approval, I would process a purchase order. It takes them about a week to go through their double checks to make sure they're ordering everything correctly. And then they would place the order, and the equipment is on a 4 to 6 month window. Lighting may come in at a different time than sound and so on, and we'll work with the stakeholders to make sure, do we want to do it all in one installation, or would we rather do it as it comes in? And so as we get more details through the ordering process, those are some decisions we can make as well.
Thank you for that. So I came up with 468,378.
I'm gonna take off my phone to.
Maybe I need to
that's
add
not
it
the
up
best,
again,
but I'm
too.
gonna use it as a calculator. If I can see. All right, 43,826 plus.
Oh, my number changed.
Yep.
So we had set aside about $500,000. Approximately 20,000 of that went to this study, leaving 480,000. Mr. Russ is getting the exact number, but when we both ballparked it in our head earlier, this is under budget.
I've got
Four-
Go ahead.
$463,381 without the contingency.
Yeah.
So we are good from a
So
financial
we're-
standpoint.
Any other questions? Or go ahead, Mr. McKenna.
Okay,
Yep,
so
go
then
ahead.
one continuation, if we had earmarked that amount of money, the only concern I have, you're saying electrical at $50,000 is conservative. Should we raise our figure that we're doing now, or should we bring that back to the board later?
If we needed to bring back to the, well, we're gonna need to bring back the language for the board anyway if we're gonna take it out of Fund 46, so we'll bring that to the board. If we go through this project and if it's over the threshold for bids and that sort of thing, so we gotta go through that process, but we'll work on that right away.
That was going to be my question too. Is if we approve the 463, does everything else go away up to that 480? So I'd like to make sure we have that assurance that that doesn't happen until completion. Other questions or comments from board members?
Sorry.
Oh, yeah,
So
go
for
ahead, Ms.
the
Hauser.
50,000, because it could be half that. I mean, that's very conservative. But since it's likely going to be over 20,000, I'll work with Ryan, our buildings and ground supervisor, to get 3 quotes. So if you wanted to include the 50,000, just so from a timing standpoint, we don't have to bring it back to a future board meeting, I believe that we will be okay with that blanket of 50,000.
Thank you for that.
Yep.
All right, with that, let's go ahead and break this down then. So I guess at the moment, I would entertain a motion to approve administration's recommendation of Part 1 to be allocated from Fund 46. And that would be for Peak Systems Group Incorporated for the audio systems and Main Stage for lighting. Yeah, if you could go back one slide, please. Thank you.
What was the additional lighting board in the other bid? Is that just something we don't need at all?
When we talked to the consultant today, that was something that we really didn't need.
I'm seeing nods no as well, so yeah. Thank you.
I had one question.
Of course, absolutely.
So I'm wondering about those 8 additional optional wireless headphone microphones. I know that we were using ones from Amazon, so I'm assuming, which is not great, I'm assuming that these have your approval. These are the ones that you would choose if you could. Okay, thank you very much.
Is the number we're looking at what you actually need?
With that, I will make the motion to approve the audio upgrades through Peak Systems Group, Inc., not to exceed 200,000, taken out of Fund 46.
All right, I have a motion from Mr. Wells. Do I have a second on the audio system?
I'll second.
Second from Mr. McKenna. Roll call.
Ms. Lopez?
Yes.
Mr. Wells?
Yes.
Mr. Burns Gilbert?
Yes.
Mr. Shozy?
Yes.
Mr. McKenna?
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0, 2 absent. The next motion would be administration's recommendation of Part 1 coming from Fund 46 to select Main Stage for the lighting. Not to exceed $171,000.
I'll make that motion.
I have a motion from Mr. Burns Gilbert. Do I have a second?
Can I say not to exceed $171,000 out of Fund 46, please?
Perfect. Thank you. Do I have a second on that?
I will second that.
A second from Mrs. Lopez. Any further discussion on this one? Roll call.
Ms. Lopez,
Yes.
Mr. Wells,
Yes.
Mr. Burns Gilbert,
Yes.
Mr. Shozi,
Yes.
Mr. McKenna.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0, 2 absent. All right, if you can move forward. It's right on top of it. All right. Now I would entertain a motion to accept administration's recommendation for Part 2, still coming from Fund 46, to select main stage for the curtains, not to exceed $44,000.
I will make the motion to contract main stage to improve the curtains at the high school, not to exceed $45,000 taken out of Fund 46.
Thank you for that, Mr. Wells. Do I have a second on that?
I'll second that.
Second from Mr. Burns Gilbert. Any further discussion on this one? Ms. Margaret, I just want to make sure you heard 45,000, correct? Okay, great. Roll call.
Mr. Burns Gilbert,
Yes.
Mr. McKenna,
Yes.
Mr. Wells,
Yes.
Ms. Lopez,
Yes.
Mr. Shozi.
Yes. Motion carries 5-0, 2 absent. And finally, the final motion would be administration's recommendation for Part 2 to still be coming from Fund 46, a contingency fund of $5,000 and electrical systems up to the total of $50,000.
I will make that motion.
Motion from Mrs. Lopez. Do I have a second?
Actually, I want to change it a little bit.
No, that's
But
feel
I do
free.
have a question first.
No, absolutely. Go ahead. Yep.
I just want to make sure, Ms. Hauser, that I understood. When you said conservative, you meant that it's likely that it will come in under 50,000, right? Not,
Correct.
okay.
That budget, that's a high budget number. It will likely come in much less than
Okay,
that.
thank you.
Yep.
So I would make the recommendation to approve a contingency fund of $5,000 and an electrical fund up to $50,000 to come from Fund 46 for the Sparta High School auditorium.
Thank you, Mrs. Lopez. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Second from Mr. Wells. Any further discussion? Go ahead, Mr. McKenna.
Could I ask for possible change to the motion? Could we do an electrical fund of $50,000 and a contingency fund not to exceed the original $480,000 we've set aside
That's
for
going to
the
be my
project?
final motion. You want to add that into this? I was going to do one final one, but
Oh, then never mind. Okay.
all right. So I have a motion from Mrs. Lopez, second from Mr. Wells. Roll call.
Ms. Lopez,
Yes.
Mr. McKenna,
Yes.
Mr. Shozi,
Yes.
Mr. Wells,
Yes.
and Mr. Burns Gilbert.
Yep.
Motion carries 5-0, 2 absent. Mr. McKenna, did you want to make another motion?
I'd like make one more motion to increase contingency to a total of $480,000 for the project taken out of Fund 46.
Thank you. Do I have a second on that?
I will second that.
A second from Mrs. Lopez. Any further discussion on this topic?
Could you repeat the motion one more time?
A contingency up to $480,000 for a total project taken from Fund 46.
Thank you for that. Ms. Margaret, you good? Roll call.
Mr. McKenna,
Yes.
Mr. Shozi,
Yes.
Ms. Lopez,
Yes.
Mr. Burns Gilbert,
Yes.
Mr. Wells.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0, 2 absent. Thanks so much for all your hard work on this. Mr. Russ, the rest of the team, Mr. Erickson, Ms. Schneider, thank you so much for all that.
Thank you for being
Mr.
patient
Ford,
with us. It takes
thank you.
time.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right. Wow, we are moving along. This is great. All right, item 4B. Discussion and possible action to set Sparta Area School District Board of Education goals. Mr. Russ.
Yes, coming out of the committee of the whole, I have the board recommended to the from the committee to the full board, the goal of to improve district wellness and achievement through the implementation of social emotional learning to be implemented over the next 4 years. Progress will be reported out quarterly to the Board of Education by the superintendent.
Thank you for that, Mr. Russ. Do I have any further discussion or questions on this?
Mr. S., I just want to review what we discussed at the Committee of the Whole, and that is that the social emotional learning curriculum that we're going to be implementing will be shared out with the stakeholders so that everyone in the community can benefit from this, our families, our students, everyone.
We will share it out with our families and our families for sure, and we will have a report in August as well for the beginning, and where the directors will be giving a report on social emotional learning as well. Yep, our goal is to be open with what we're teaching, and I've already had the discussions with the building principals, making sure that this is very open. And once again, how can we be open in our regular subject areas too? This is a very important topic, but be open, but also give our families the resources to how to support us. You know, how do we do this? If we're teaching this, to be transparent, to be open, and then really say, this is how you can help at home, rather than please help us do this. These are some resources that you can do. Very similar to how do you add fractions. It's not easy to add fractions, but we can give our families the support needed to help their students add fractions.
Thank you, Mr. Russ. Any other questions or comments on this?
I'll make a motion to approve board goals as stated above.
I have a motion from Mr. McKenna. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
A second from Mr. Wells. Any further discussion on this topic? Roll call.
Mr. Wells?
Yes.
Mr. McKenna?
Yes.
Mr. Shozy?
Yes.
Mr. Burns Gilbert?
Yes.
Ms. Lopez?
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0, 2 absent. Thank you for that, Mr. Russ. Item 4C, discussion and possible action to approve the budget revisions for the 2022-2023. Ms. Hauser.
Thank you. So this is the final revision for 22-23. We did review this in more detail at the committee meeting. Since that time, we did go through our audit. Our auditors were here last week. I am happy to report that they found no issues in the financials, no entries, no changes, anything like that. So a huge thank you to the business services team and all of our building secretaries for all they do to help keep our records in good shape. It's truly a team effort. And with that, just 2 numbers did change with some cleanup work we did leading up to the audit. I have those numbers in bold and red. Going to the expenses, those had some very minor changes back and forth as well. But in the total picture, what happened is we ended up breaking even for the year, and that's with including the $225,000 transfer to Fund 46 that was discussed at committee. It's the next agenda item, but I did include it in the budget pending approval tonight. So we were able to make a contribution to Fund 46 and break even, meaning we didn't need to use any of that revenue stabilization. I can tell you that in my first time doing the district's budget in 8 years, this is the first time we've broke even. Typically, we end with more of an excess. So for our current financial story, this is very good news because we knew this would be a tight year. But please know that it also, to me, shows that we were truly managing our resources to the final dollar, because typically we do end with the excess. Okay. Our debt service fund, again, we did review these at committee meeting. The only change to the slide is I did add the ending fund balance as well for a reference point. And the reason Fund 39 carries a debt service is because our fall debt payment the reason why it carries a fund balance is because our fall debt payment has to be made before we start collecting tax income again. Our capital project fund, which is Fund 46, You can see the current fund balance is about $570,000. Keep in mind that's where the auditorium project will be coming out of. We have the spend down of the Herman referendum, which we still have over $750,000 there, but we do have some big projects slated as soon as we can get on the construction schedule. Nutrition service, and then the community service fund. This one did end with a higher fund balance than we were projecting, largely because we're always looking for additional staff for our WIN program, and if we could get more staff, we would take those, and then that would use up those dollars. With that, are there any questions?
Thank you for that great report. We appreciate that. Any questions or comments from board members? Mrs. Lopez, go ahead.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Ms. Hauser, for adding the ending fund balance to the slides. I think that's very helpful. And I have a question about Fund 46 fund balance, which is slide number 23. Does that include the potential $225,000 that we would be making a motion on next?
You know what? I bet I did not.
Looking at the number, I thought perhaps it did not include that, but
Yep, I bet I did the budget revision just on the Fund 10 side. I would say you are correct.
okay, thank
Yep,
you.
thank you.
Yeah,
That's a good thing. So
Yeah, yeah.
makes that number go up.
Yeah.
Any other questions or comments from board members? Hearing nothing further, I'd entertain a motion to approve the budget revisions for 2022-2023 as presented.
So moved.
Thank you for that, Mr. Wells. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
A second from Mrs. Lopez. Any further discussion on this topic? Roll call.
Mr. Schulze,
Yes.
Ms. Lopez,
Yes.
Mr. Wells,
Yes.
Mr. Burns Gilbert,
Yes.
Mr. McKenna.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0, 2 absent. And thank you again. That was exciting to see a zero balance on that, or a balanced budget. That's good. So thank you. Item 4D, discussion and possible action to designate classification to fund balance as of June 30th, 2023. Ms. Hauser.
Yes, so this is the action that is required each year as part of our year end. So the action taken tonight will be published in our audited financial statements. And there are different classifications of fund balance, which we did go over again in detail at the committee meeting. I did not make any changes other than updating the final unassigned fund balance in the general fund. And then here's just a summary of what we talked about in the other funds. And again, I updated the nutrition and the debt fund for those final couple entries we made. So pending no further questions, the recommendation that came out of committee is designating $575,000 for revenue stabilization, which in essence would be earmarking the same amount that we did last year, and then designating all other funds as presented.
I'll make a motion to recommend designating $575,000 of the Fund 10 unassigned funds to be used for revenue stabilization in the 23-24 school year.
Thank you for that, Mr. McKenna. I have a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
A second from Mr. Burns Gilbert. Any further discussion on this topic? Go ahead, Mrs. Lopez.
Sorry, I just want to understand. Mr. McKenna, does that mean that it needs to be used in 23-24 or just for that budget year?
So the designations, we will revisit them each year. So it's implied, but it's perfectly fine. That doesn't mean that we'll use it. We'll follow the same rules we did this past year.
Great, that's what I wanted to hear. Thank
Yep.
you.
All right, I have a motion and I have a second. Any further questions or comments on this topic? Roll call.
Mr. Wells,
Yes.
Mr. McKenna,
Yes.
Mr. Schulze,
Yes.
Mr. Burns Gilbert,
Yes.
Ms. Lopez.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0, 2 absent. Item 4E, discussion.
Do we?
Go ahead,
do we
Mr.
need to
McKenna.
Recommend that.
Oh, yes. Is that what you were? Okay.
That's what we were whispering about. So you definitely can make that motion. We're legally obligated to do them as I presented anyway. So if you would like to, that's fine. I'm okay if you don't as well. It's really the first part that we need board action
So,
for.
Mr. Russ or Ms. Margaret, was it as presented? Is that how we worded that? I thought that was okay. If you'd like to do another one, we can. Otherwise, that should cover it. All right. Thank you. Discussion and possible action to make a contribution to Fund 46. Ms. Hauser.
All right. And so the final piece is, again, as we were looking at Fund 10, we would have ended $225,000 to the positive. Rather than putting that in fund balance, out of the committee came the recommendation to instead transfer it to Fund 46. The benefit there is that we do have money set aside for future capital improvements. We'll also get state aid on it next year because it's considered spent in the year of the transfer.
Thank you for that, Ms. Hauser. Any questions or comments on this topic? Mr. Burns-Gilbert, go ahead.
Ms. Hauser, can you just clarify how much state aid we'll get on that? Is that 40%?
Correct. It'll be in the tertiary tier, so it's approximately 40%.
Perfect. Thanks.
Good question. Further discussion on this? Hearing none, I'd entertain a motion to make the contribution to Fund 46 as presented.
I'll make the motion to place $225,000 to Fund 46 for the 2022-23 school year.
Thank you for that, Mr. Wells. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
A second from Mrs. Lopez. Roll call.
Ms. Lopez?
Yes.
Mr. Wells?
Yes.
Mr. Burns-Gilbert?
Yes.
Mr. Schulze?
Yes.
Mr. McKenna?
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0, 2 absent. Thank you for that. Item 4F, discussion and possible action to approve projects at Herman Elementary using referendum funds. Ms. Hauser.
All right. So as we just talked about with the fund balance, we do have some funds remaining in the Herman referendum project, which is good because now that we've lived in the building a couple of years, we've found some additional needs that we just weren't aware of during the design phase. The first is the library. We had an open concept, but that's posed some concerns with safety if we have to lock down the building, but also in keeping the students contained in the areas they're supposed to be in, as well as some noise and distractions in the library area because that's a main hallway there. So we did get a quote from Mercant & Johnson, who is the construction manager on Herman. We also got a quote to enclose in under the stairs. We, like in any building, can always use additional storage. Particularly in Herman, there's not good storage for custodial. We have very nice small custodial closets to be able to handle the cleaning and things, but if we need to store extra garbage bins or something like that, we don't have that type of storage. So that would be the use of it. But additionally, it would also help with some blind spots and kind of reducing some hiding areas within the building as well. So administrative recommendation is to move ahead with the library wall for $26,275 and the understair storage, which is in 3 different stairwells, one of which is that grand staircase right when you enter the building for $35,640, and these would both be completed by Mercant & Johnson.
Thank you for that, Ms. Hauser. Any questions or comments on this topic?
Did we receive a timeline on when the projects could be completed?
Kind of. I asked if there's any way they could be done by September 1st, and hopefully was the answer I think I got. So there's labor shortages in construction right now, and so they're looking at the schedules and things, so we're hopeful.
Mr. Burns-Gilbert, go ahead.
Along those lines, I might have missed this. Did we get any other bids or quotes from beyond Mercant & Johnson, or was that the only?
Yep. We didn't because they have the awareness and the knowledge of the building, and they did the original infrastructure. So these projects are to the level that we've brought them to, but there's been other smaller scale projects that we've stuck with Market and Johnson because of their tie to the original project, including for some of this, they're reaching back out to HSR since HSR was the architect for Herman. So it's keeping with the same team as the core project.
So if it does stretch into the school year, the storage probably wouldn't impact students, but maybe that library might if that doesn't get done. Can we prioritize that in any way, or?
So they both require masonry work, so we're actually getting the best pricing if we do them all together, because they only have to mobilize their masons once then, which is one of the most costly parts. So they would prefer to do them both together at the same time.
Okay. Thank you.
Any further questions or comments? Mrs. Lopez, go ahead.
Yes, thank you. So are we locked into these amounts, or, have they promised to do them at these amounts if we approve this tonight, or will there possibly be a change, an increase or decrease based on availability or time? And
it would not be more so. If anything, depending again on the schedule and if they can mobilize the one time, because it's not only their schedule, we'll have staff and students. Well, we have students in the building currently with summer school, and staff will be here before we know it too. So if we can make it work, there could be potential savings depending on the timing, but it would not exceed these amounts.
that's what I wanted to know. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Hearing none, I'd entertain a motion to approve the Herman Elementary projects, the library corridor wall, not to exceed $26,275, and the understair storage infill, not to exceed $35,640, and to be used with referendum funds. Go ahead, Mr. Russ.
No, we're good to go.
Oh, okay.
So moved.
I have a motion from Mrs. Lopez. Do I have a second?
I'll second. Oh,
Second from Mr. Wells. Any further questions on this topic? Hearing none, roll call.
Mr. Burns Gilbert,
Yes.
Mr. McKenna,
Yes.
Mr. Wells,
yes.
Ms. Lopez,
Yes.
Mr. Schulze.
Yes, motion carries 5-0, 2 absent. Now, Mr. Russ, we don't have any further grants or anything, correct?
That is correct.
Okay, thank you. So we're going to move to item 4H, announcements and information. Mr. Russ.
Yes, the next big announcement is coming off our facility board meeting last week on August 9th, 5:30. We're going to be at SHS. We'll be promoting this heavily, and the goals is to get the facility assessment out. Very similar. Bray will be here. School Perceptions, I believe, is going to be here along with Markin and Johnson, and talk about the master planning. So a lot of the same things that the board was shown the other day last week, we will go into those and show those things on the big screens in the cafeteria, and get the community input. Then that's when we're going to continue to get the community input, get those ideas. But what's really, hey, can you do this? Those minute details, those are all good things, but we're really starting to, generate momentum for the project and really start to see if our community this is something that our community values and to see the need. So we're really going to start to tell our story in a little bit different way, showing the facility assessment. Those summary documents are really important. When you see the reds, that's, okay. And then when you start to look at the possible concepts about the master planning process and say, okay, this might be something how our district could possibly look down the road. So it's really to get that input. And then after that facility, soup with the soup, continue to engage stakeholders in various ways. It could be through our community groups. It could be through our boosters. Really start to pinpoint. I know Mr. Follendorf is already planning. Mr. Follendorf is our agri-science teacher, is already planning a walkthrough at the greenhouse to really show this is what our students work in a day in a daily basis. And say, hey, these are some ideas that, what are some ideas that we might be able to come up with. So big picture things, but once again, to tell our story, to see what our kids are going through. So, so really continue those. End of September, early October, we're looking at giving a community survey to get that feedback. When I say community, it'll be all mailbox holders along with our staff. Will be sent a mailing with an electronic survey, or I believe even a paper survey if they wish to do that. So, and then that's really going to give us some feedback about a big picture about what the community would possibly look to support. But that survey is just not asking your questions. It tells our story as well to really get that input there. So very excited about the facilities as we continue to have those discussions and talk about what the future may hold for our district. So very exciting. We have our August committee and the full board. It is 3 weeks. We have a longer time. And then first day of school is going to be here before we know it. We're very excited and starting to already get the preparations and that sort of thing. Our certified staff come back on August 21st. Our classified staff come back on August 24th. So a lot of exciting news going on. We're starting week 3 of summer school for our traditional summer school program. So that is going very well, and a lot of positive feedback from that. It's nice to see the kids saying hello, and we do have our nutrition service program going. It's free, and we do have community members that come in with their families as well. The adults aren't free, but the children are free. So that's great to see as well. We do have our WIN program that is still going very strong after school, and it is a very good collaborative relationship we have with the Boys and Girls Club, where rag ball is in our backyard at Herman, so the kids are right there, and that's going very well as well. So lots of positivity, but once again, August 9th, Soup with the Soup, SHS, and you're going to be seeing a lot of it.
Thank you for that, Mr. Russ. Any questions, comments? Go ahead, Mr. Burns-Gilbert.
Mr. Russ, if anyone can't make that August 9th meeting, will those presentations be on that website that has the facility study?
We can we'll put any slides or anything like that on the website, yeah. Okay. And speaking of that, our website, we do have a facility study website on our Spartan.org that has all the slides that the board went through, the wonderful 300-some page document for the facility study. So if you need to fall asleep or stay awake, that might be a good thing to do. So, but yeah, all that information will be published on that site.
Thank you. Further questions or comments? Hearing none, I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Motion for Mr. Wells. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second for Mr. Burns-Gilbert. All in favor? Aye. All opposed, same sign. We are adjourned. Thank you.